Hi everyone, Jesse here with eTrailer. Today we'll be taking a look at, and I'll show you how to install the B&W custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2024 Honda CR-V. The CR-V is a nice, practical, smaller crossover, but it's always nice to be able to add some extra storage space onto the rear of the vehicle, and adding a hitch allows you to do that. With this hitch, you can throw in accessories such as a cargo carrier or a bike rack, and you can even do some towing with it. Just remember, if you plan on doing any towing, you will need to add some trailer wiring on it to keep you safe and legal out there on the road. Let's take a closer look at our hitch installed on our neighbor's vehicle. As you can see, the cross tubes are going to be completely hidden behind your fascia here. So all you'll be able to see is that receiver opening. This receiver opening is your standard 2" by 2" opening. And behind that, we have another standard 5/8" pinhole. The pin and clip are not included with the hitch, however, we have many options available here at eTrailer. Also, any accessory that you add on will most likely come with one included. And then tucked back a little bit is our safety cable loops. Even though they're pretty much hidden, they're still very easy to access with whatever style safety cable you have. For example, that S style or a large clevis like this. Now for some quick measurements. We'll start with our ground clearance. From the ground to the top of the inside of the collar is at 13.5 inches. So that is on the low side. It's not super low, but I definitely look for accessories that have a slight rise to them. Then the pinhole to the edge of our bumper here is only 2 inches. That number you want to keep in mind for any folding accessories that you might add on to ensure they don't make contact with the vehicle. For the weight capacities with this hitch, we have a gross trailer weight of 4,500 pounds. That's the amount of weight that you can pull behind the vehicle. And a maximum tongue weight of 675 pounds. That's the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. Always be sure to double check your Honda's owner's manual to ensure that your CR-V can handle that weight safely. All in all, if you're looking to add a hitch to your CR-V, I really like the B&W option. B&W has been around making quality products for a long time, and it's a name you can trust. As for the installation, they do design this slightly different than other hitches. You do have some extra hardware with some side brackets, but it's not too terribly difficult. If you're not looking to do it yourself, then check out our dealer locator. You can find someone local to you that would be happy to help you get this installed. If after watching this video you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to get you pointed in the right direction. But otherwise, if you're looking to see how this gets installed, just follow along and I'll walk you through it. We're going to begin our installation underneath our vehicle here. We'll start by removing this rock guard. So you just have to go around and remove all of these plastic push fasteners. Helps to have a tool like this to pop that center out and remove it, or you could just use a flathead screwdriver. But just work your way around, get them all removed, and we'll take this panel out. Once you remove all the push pin fasteners, there's going to be two 10mm nuts towards the front. And we'll set that aside. Next, we'll lower our exhaust down, and before we get to actually lowering it, just make sure you have something supporting it. I'm using a cam strap, but if you're working on the ground, you can use something like a floor jack, just anything that will help hold it up. And now we have some rubber isolators here. I sprayed some soapy water on them just to make it a little bit easier. I'm just gonna start prying against the muffler here, just work those off. So there's one on this side and another on the other side. Once you have both those rear hangers removed, we will move forward a bit to the center one. And this one's a little harder to pry on, which you still can use a pry bar. It's just going to be more difficult. Helps to have an exhaust hanger tool like this to get it removed. We'll get that popped off, and then we can relax our cam strap a bit to get this out of our way. Now we're ready to fish wire our carriage bolts in. So we'll need to locate our access hole. We're going to use this large hole towards the back, and we're going to drop carriage bolts down through these two smaller holes. So what we'll do, I'll start with the hole farthest from our access hole. Feed the coiled end of your fish wire up through that. And get it to come out in that access hole. And once you do that, we'll slip one of our spacer blocks over that, then tuck it up into the frame. And we'll take a carriage bolt and thread it onto the end. Get that threaded on, push it up, and then we'll just pull our fish wire, and we have that carriage bolt drop down. So we're going to do the same process with this hole here. And once you get both pulled down on one side, we'll repeat that process on the other side of the vehicle. Now we need to cut our fascia out to make our hitch fit. The diagram in the instructions has you measure out from center 3¼ inches. And then it says to reference your kick wand center panel, which I don't have. So what I did is I just measured 1.5 inches out and did a straight line there. But what we'll do is cut this out. I'm using a multi-tool. You could use a Dremel or just whatever you have that will cut this plastic. Once you have that cut out, I like to come through and clean our cut up with a razor blade or a file. Now we can get our side brackets up into place. These are side specific, so you want to make sure that the flange is going towards the inside. And we'll just lift it up, get our fish wires started through their corresponding holes, and get it tucked up above our exhaust. We're going to have to also tuck it up above our fascia, so it does get kind of tricky to work it into position. Once you have it into position, you can pull a fish wire off and take one of your nuts, thread it on. Do the same thing with this carriage bolt, and we'll repeat that process on the other side. Now we can lift our actual hitch into place. So we'll need to get it tucked up above our fascia here. Just pull down on the plastic, and we'll start by getting one side lined up. So get that one side tucked over. It does help to keep those brackets loose so you can kind of manipulate them as you're working it into position. So it is pretty tricky to get everything to kind of cooperate with you, but just work your way. Make sure you get one side slotted in and then focus on the other side. You'll have to do a lot of pulling down on these tabs just to work around it. Once you have it into position, we'll start installing our hardware. So it's going to go from the inside out with the carriage bolt. Get that pushed through. And then we'll add on a flange nut on the other side. Now we can take a 3/4 inch socket and start tightening everything down. You want to just kind of make sure everything's flush and centered before you do. And then I'm going to start by tightening our side bracket hardware here. We'll tighten both sides side brackets, then we'll move on to this hardware up here. Now we'll take a torque wrench and torque all of our hardware down to these specifications in the instructions. We do need to trim our rock guard before we can reinstall it, and in the instructions, the rock guard that they had was like completely different than mine. So what I did was I just kind of mocked it up, then marked out where I need to cut, and I'll just make that cut. We'll test fit it, and if I need to cut more, I will. And I'm using this cut with some tin snips just because this plastic cuts a little bit easier than the fascia plastic. Once you get that rock guard reinstalled, that's going to be it for our look at and installation of the B&W custom fit trailer hitch receiver on our 2024 Honda CR-V.